we can go ahead and take that. It takes a village. Ball that up and throw it in the trash.
It does
because
take a village, but
it would take a village if that was possible today. We gotta first
miss
get
these villages,
people back
y'all.
together, because if there are no families, because people
There's
are,
no village.
I'm single, then there's no village, there's no community. Families are the basis of that. And if we're not building families, then the communities are not going to be built either. So that it takes a village. And some people got a village, but most people do not. So most people are on an island by themselves.
Good evening. Welcome to Between the Sheets, where we take 12 years of marriage experience and give unsolicited advice to those who choose to enter our room. Tonight, we're going to talk about basically educating our boys on relationships, even at a young age. For us, our boys are homeschooled, so they're with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're not with us 24 hours a day. They're with me.
Whatever.
But anyway.
To clarify, I work outside of the home. He runs a business from home. So he is at home with the boys the majority of the time, and I'm at work, and then I'm there in the evenings and whatnot. We lead by example. That's a very large part of how we teach our children about relationships. But also recently, we've started having conversations with our oldest, he'll be 9 in a couple of weeks. Just kind of guiding him on what to expect as he gets older and he starts to date.
So, yes, she's right. We just started really just having conversations with him. And it's been interesting because, kids at that age, they don't really understand, the intricacies of relationships between a man and a woman. A lot of times kids at that age think that it's gross, honestly, to be completely honest. I mean,
They do.
That's how I was when I was a kid. I mean, that circle, circle, dot, dot, now I got my cootie shot. I did all that kind of stuff. But the thing that we've been noticing with the oldest is, even though he doesn't really understand or know anything about these types of relationships, he is kind of inquisitive about these things. He does ask questions, and he really wants to know. If the conversation goes on too long, though, he's ready to get the heck out of there. It's gonna have to be like a little 5-minute conversation, just a little sprinkle every once in a while. But for the most part, he seems to be taking it kind of, and he's pretty good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been pretty good with it. So things that we talk about with him is, well, let me just backtrack a little bit. I myself grew up with a dad and a mom in the home, and it was a good marriage. I didn't see any issues. There was no fights or anybody getting kicked out, any infidelity or anything like that. But she grew up with a mom, just a single mom type situation. Dad was in the picture at first, and then they separated.
My dad was always in the picture. Let me tell my story.
No, stop. Let me tell the story, because you always telling everybody else's story, all right? So like I said, Dad was in the picture at first with the mom, and then he exited, but he never exited her life, all right? So if he would have let me get there, I would have gotten there. But anyway, so he's always been in her life, but like the marriage unit wasn't there. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. They
was married, but not married.
Can I continue now?
Go ahead.
But so at least for me, it was never a thought or a conversation about relationships or how to be in a relationship. I just kind of had to guess, I mean, you can look at your parents' relationship and kind of gauge what it's kind of supposed to be like, but I didn't necessarily get that in my household. I didn't see a lot of PDA or anything like that. My dad was a preacher. My mom was, the first lady, or the preacher's wife. And what was your situation? Your dad was a preacher?
My daddy was not a preacher. My parents were married, but they were separated. My dad lived in a different state. I never saw my dad dating, but I did see my mom date. I did.
How was that? Yeah. See?
Weren't really the best examples. Um,
Yeah.
learned a lot of what not to do, I guess. Not really what to do or what I should have been looking for in a mate.
Yeah.
Did not have any relationship talks at all. Not even just nothing. Don't get pregnant. That was my relationship.
You know what my
talk.
relationship talk was? Just don't have sex. Because like I said, my dad was a preacher, so I was super in the church, like all the time. So like there was no real relationship conversations at all.
There wasn't. Even I had a long-term boyfriend in high school. There was never a sex conversation. It was literally a don't get pregnant. That was the don't get pregnant. Don't bring me no babies in here. That was it.
And people hear that,
I didn't bring no babies.
You didn't bring a baby in, but anyway. So, and neither did I. All right, neither did I. All right, I wasn't one of those preacher kids that was like out running the streets and doing all this crazy stuff. I was good. I had strict parents, well, strict dad, and it was none of that happening in the house.
I did not have a strict mom, but I was still good because I didn't like disappointing people.
Yeah, but to get back on topic, right?
Okay.
Sorry, we went over there.
We gotta give you the background.
Sorry about that. But anyway, so like I said, you know, as children, we don't really get these talks. Well, I can only speak for myself. I didn't get these talks, and a lot of my friends, they didn't get these talks either. I know my cousins didn't either. So it's just like everybody's just kind of just moving through life and doing all this random stuff, and everybody's breaking everybody. So now we're in the whole state of turmoil right now. So what we thought we would do, being the millennials that we are and trying to break all these generational cycles and curses, is why don't we start educating our sons on relationships, what they should be looking for, what they should be doing as they grow into these different stages of life, and then they enter these relationships with girls and with women. And I think that this is something that a lot of other people should probably look into. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to. I'm just saying what we are doing, and hopefully it's going to work out. We'll find out in the next few years if this worked. So it's kind of an experiment. Should be a good experiment, but just wait a few more years and we'll let y'all know. But so here's the thing. As men, you know, because I cannot speak to women and I cannot speak to daughters because we don't have any. But I do know as men, the world looks at men in a certain way. And especially now after being on social media, I know women look at men in a certain way. A lot of women want men to be just completely deleted. And that's not okay.
It don't sit right with me. I got a lot of men in my life. I need them to stay.
Right. And I'm a man and I don't want to be deleted, you know, and I have sons, so I have to make sure that they are well aware of the situation that they're going into and how to navigate those situations. So as young men, we're not taught, you know, what to look for in a wife or what to look for in a partner. But we are definitely taught, you know, what we should be giving women, what we should be doing for women. And that's pretty much how the world is kind of operating as a kid. So, you know, men are taught to basically be transmitter, and a lot of times media and also, you know, in households, women are taught to be receivers. It's just a transmit receive type scenario. So we want to try to break that with our sons, especially me being the father. I want to make sure that they're just not transmitting to any and every woman. There needs to be certain things that they need to be looking for in a woman before they're just transmitting and just giving everything. Because what we do know is that when men step out into the world, they get humbled really quickly, especially in relationships. So I want to make sure that they're able to, stand on their squares when it comes to different things and different dating scenarios and on into engagement into marriage. So what I want to make sure that we have a conversation about, anytime we talk about relationship with our oldest, I'm making sure that he understands what he needs to be as a man, what constitutes a good man, the different character traits that he needs to have and move with through life, so that one, he can be respected, and two, he can get to the level that he needs to get to be able to require a woman of caliber. Now, we know that every man is not a good man. So the same can be said about women. Every woman is not a good woman. So I want to make sure that he's not entering into relationships with people that he shouldn't be or that they shouldn't be, and it causing him to change who he is and take him down a road of destroying other women. That's something that I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen with them or with him. So what do you think about the way that I'm approaching this with them?
I love it. It's a conversation. It's a two-way conversation. So you hear our oldest talking to him about initially the questions were, what do you think a husband does and what do you think a wife does? How do you think these roles play out? And he gave us what he thought they were. Very, very basic, very, I'm 8 years old and this is all I know. And then you just kind of grow from there, just understanding. He came to me the other day and was like, Mom, I don't want to, if a woman can't love me for me, then that's not the woman for me. She should be able to accept me and appreciate me for, everything that I do, and she shouldn't want me to change who I am if I'm a good person. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. If you are a good person, then no, you shouldn't want to be with a woman who wants you to change who you are at your core. Now, if you're doing bad things or mean things, then absolutely you should want to change those things. She shouldn't even need to come to you and ask. So I think for us, it's working. It's a very new thing in what we're doing. And I think, as with anything, you'll have to tailor it to each child. Our oldest is a very lovable, giving person. That's just who he is. And he could very easily be taken advantage of if he maintains how he is right now. He is very freely given. That little one,
There's going to be no problems out of him.
no,
He will not be taken advantage of.
he's not going to be taken advantage of at all. He's not a giving person. He's a loving person. He will love you to the depths of your soul, but he's not a giving person. You're not going to be able to take advantage of him. And
I've never seen a baby with boundaries. Like, he got boundaries on top of boundaries on top of boundaries, and he gonna let you know what those boundaries are. You're not gonna
cross his boundaries. That's the other thing. We are attempting to raise children who are not afraid to tell you that this is not what I want. You don't get to just walk up to our kids and say, this is how this goes, without them speaking up. Both of them will speak up for themselves. But the little one, he's 3. He speaks up very, very well for himself. And as they grow, as they get older, we will tailor and curb these lessons to fit their personalities, right? We are learning and growing as we go, basically. I think that's all any of us can really do, is learn and grow as we go, as we did with our marriage. We were flying blind, me probably more so than he was, but we were both pretty much flying blind in our marriage, and we are still, after 12 years, learning and growing and evolving. And I think one major thing with teaching our boys this is understanding that relationships are fluid. You can't just say that this is how it is and this is how it's going to be and you can't deviate from this, because even with us, with our marriage, we've bounced back and forth within those roles. I've never not worked. That's just, I like my job. But I have been an almost stay-at-home mom where he worked the full-time job and I went to work a day or so out of the week. Versus now where he stays at home and he works from home and I work outside of the house.
Listen, before you keep going, I'm sorry to cut you off, but listen, I don't recommend having kids, being a stay-at-home dad, and running a business all at the same time. 0 stars, buddy. I don't recommend it.
Not good there.
It's hard, but I wouldn't change
You're doing
it.
a fantastic job.
I wouldn't change it.
You are doing an amazing job, and I love it and I appreciate it. And the boys love it because when you're not here, or when I take them out of the house to give you a break, they're like, "Where's Dad? Is Dad coming? We want Dad to come." But while he's here with them, they just drive him up the wall.
Up the wall. I'd be on the ceiling, bro.
They do. They call me all day at work, and they scream in the background. I'm like, bro, just shh. I know if you drive me up the wall, you got to be driving your daddy up the wall.
100%.
Relax.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off, though.
I know. That was completely off. I don't even know where I was going.
I apologize. Well,
we were talking about the relationships being fluid.
Yeah,
that's what we were talking about.
They're fluid, and one thing that comes with fluidity of the relationships is teaching our boys, the word accountability, and them. Well, haven't got to the 3-year-old yet because he's 3, and you can't really be dropping relationship knowledge on him just yet. But the oldest, just going over that word responsibility and accountability with him, and just letting him know that, hey, and like I always like to tell her, like, throughout the day, let me just pause. We homeschool our kids. That's why they're here all the time. So we homeschool. She makes the bulk of the lesson, and I'll add in critical thinking and analyzations, and I'll throw in other math topics and history. But one thing that comes along with that is I give him like what I call life lessons throughout the day. Whether we're doing math or anything like that, I'll always tie like problems like that he's doing in math to different things that you need to learn in life. He hates it, but I really hope that the way that I'm teaching him is allowing him to put 2 and 2 together and be able to see all obstacles all at the same time. So
he calls me at work and asks me for help because he don't want to come ask you.
And that's fine. Listen, he gets lectured, college lectures at home, but that's fine. I'm preparing his mind. But so with that, when I do the life lessons, like a few of the life lessons, I always try to throw in things like accountability and relationships. And if you're doing something wrong, or you've messed something up, you need to be able to stand on that and be like, you know what, I messed up. I'm sorry. And just take accountability for the things that you've done. It's very easy. Well, pause. It's not easy, but it's definitely something that you have to do and that you should accept doing. But I also teach him in that not only do you have to take accountability, whoever you're allowing into your space, that woman that you're trying to date or marry, if she's not taking accountability for the things that she's doing, then, bruh, that's just simply not it. You possibly might want to go and find somebody else after a nice conversation about it. Now, if there's a conversation about it and there's nothing changing, then you need to exit stage left. You can't just stay in that type of relationship, because what will happen is it will begin to sour you on future relationships, and you don't want that. So like I said, in relationships being fluid, you have to take into account accountability. But back to what you were saying.
What was I saying?
Look at you, man. Look at you.
I don't know what I was saying, but I know what I was gonna say while you were talking.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that we very much lead by example. We apologize to our children when we are wrong. As parents, you know, sometimes we could be short-tempered or just annoyed because you keep asking me the same thing over and over again that I have already answered 4 times in the last 2 minutes. But we apologize if I have fussed a little too much or taken something away that was probably, I made the situation bigger than it actually was. I will go to and he will too, we will go to the kids and we will apologize and ask them essentially to forgive us. And that is just another way of leading by example. We apologize to each other in front of our children. If I've done something or he's done something that the other one doesn't like, we apologize. We talk about it. We have conversations. If they are in trouble, they get in trouble, they're able to come to us and have a conversation with us on, okay, why am I getting in trouble for this? Why am I being punished for this? Can we negotiate this? And so that just goes back to being able to communicate. Because if you're not able to communicate, then you're lost. Because I can be thinking something all day long. He can't read my mind.
Nope. Can't read it.
So again, leading by example. This is just a regular part of their everyday life. We just turn it into life, basically. We're having these conversations with them, yes, but we're also making it a part of their day-to-day life. So it's just the normal thing for them. Not having to unlearn, relearn all of this stuff that they just don't know. Because right now, we are going through an unlearning and relearning phase.
Ourselves.
Right. With a lot of stuff. Just
It's pretty whack.
life in general.
It's pretty whack.
It is. It sucks monkey balls.
So just taking a whole look and you know, just a pullback scope of everything, you know, this is just one of the reasons why it's extremely important to have fathers in their kids' life, whether it be a little girl or a little boy, but especially the little boys because of how they're viewed in the world and how they're being viewed today. Not just little boys, but like men in general, how they're being viewed by women. We want to try to curb that situation as much as possible because I really don't want my sons to be stuck in the rut that's going on today. So hopefully if more parents could take a different approach with the raising of their sons, not coddling them, but, you know, making sure they're imparting into them the best ways to go about life. Even if, you know, you were raised in a single home or you're a single mom or you're a single dad, you know, you still got to find a way to impart the good into them, like the more balanced side. It's going to be tough to get a balanced side because you're just one person, but you need to try to figure out a way to get it done. I really wish that, you know, the single parents could find a way to co-parent. Cause like all this singleness, the baby daddy over here, the baby mama over here, and the baby daddy think the baby mama crazy, and the baby mama hate the baby daddy because he ain't doing what she feel he should be doing, or he not doing what he should be doing. Like that's gotta stop.
The kids are the ones suffering.
Yeah.
It's the kids.
Yeah.
They're hurting. Even if they seem like they're okay, they're still hurting. They're not happy. They're still missing a part of themselves. So some kind of way we have to figure out how to come together as parents and raise these children and not just, you know,
because we can
leave them flapping in the wind.
We can go ahead and take that. It takes a village. Ball that up and throw it in the trash.
It does
because
take a village, but
it would take a village if that was possible today. We gotta first get people back together, because if there are no families, because people
no village.
I'm single, then there's no village, there's no community. Families are the basis of that. And if we're not building families, then the communities are not going to be built either. So that it takes a village. And some people got a village, but most people do not. So most people are on an island by themselves. And that's why, in my opinion, a lot of people are running around here mad and upset and bitter and all this kind of stuff. And I want y'all to hear me. I said people. I didn't say women. I said people, which that includes women and men. So nobody take that out of context, please. But but as I was saying, men, please, 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 please find a way to be a part of your kid's life. I don't know anybody's situations. We know that there are women out there that will block you from doing this. And we know that there are situations where men are just simply just exiting because they said, oh, well, I told her that I didn't want a kid, but you still created it, bro. You still created it. So you got to figure out a way to try to make this thing work. And if you are in a situation where the baby mama is blocking you from, being with the kid, court. Go to court. Go to court and try to figure out a way on how to get this thing together. Because as she said, the kids are the one that is suffering. And guess what it's doing? It's creating a god doggone cycle. And I'm sorry, I don't want my kids stuck in the cycle with a bunch of kids that are stuck in the cycle. So if we can go ahead and just work together, that would be fantastic.
And if you're just a trash dude who just not a part of that child's life, do better.
Please.
Stop.
Please.
Do better.
Please.
Please do better.
Please. And don't misconstrue what she's saying. We're not saying, or she's not saying, that all you dudes are trash. Because we know for a fact that all of you are not trash. And some of you are being called trash when you're not trash. But there are a bunch of trash dudes out there. Because we know them. The men that know. We know that there are trash dudes that exist. So we understand that y'all are going to just continue on existing. But we would ask y'all to please step to the left. Stop creating kids with these women. And just go on about y'all business, man. Just, but for all my good G's, go ahead and stand up and please just find a way to work it out. And if you're already there with your kids or you're co-parenting or you're married or you're in a relationship with the mother of your kid, that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. But yeah, so it's been a great conversation tonight. It's important for our fathers to be in the kids' life because we need balance. Can't just have too much femininity and no masculinity, and you can't just have all masculinity and no femininity. It's got to be a nurture type of situation, and you got to have that masculine side too. But yeah, it's been a great talk. Peace.
Night.